You?
Good morning. We'd first like to start by thanking Dr. Hall, Ellen Stelka, Ellie Spencer, and Brianna Buller for the opportunity to create this marketing plan for the NRA 500. On behalf of my team, Mac Brady and Justin Siddall, my name is Carson Pope. My colleagues joining me are Jared Bohan and Kimberly McLean. And with that, we'll jump into our agenda for the day. First, we're going to talk about some of the objectives you gave us at the beginning of the year and how we've sort of expanded on them and come up with our own objectives in order to achieve them. We're then going to jump into our customer analysis, the customer we feel is going to give you the most benefit in filling those remaining 15% of seats that you want filled. In doing that, we're going to discuss some of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that we can either build on or improve upon in order to gear towards that market. And finally, we'll finish with our two-part marketing strategy that they sort of complement each other in order to educate and create awareness for those customers. So to start, you wanted to target a younger generation, essentially Generation Y. In doing that, we're going to target the over 325 students that are in the DFW Metroplex at over 60 colleges and universities. You wanted to increase your customer base and the satisfaction of these customers. We're going to do that by increasing your social media presence by 100%. What I mean when we say that is you have roughly 90,000 followers on Facebook and about 41,000 on Twitter. We're essentially going to double that. You wanted to educate Generation Y in order to fill those 15% of remaining seats. How we're going to do that, at least in our test market, is to sell 900 tickets at events where those Generation Y members are going to be. So your customer, Generation Y, this is their description. Willing to take chances. That means basically we know young people, Generation Y in particular, they don't have a lot of brand loyalty. With the recent financial recession and the financial transparency crisis with Enron and other companies, there is no brand loyalty. And so with that, Generation Y is willing to take a risk and willing to try something that maybe in the past others wouldn't because of that brand loyalty that used to exist. On top of that, Generation Y is very socially connected. The use of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of it, they are creating their own brand, and then through Facebook, they have to be brutally honest because what they post is going out to hundreds of thousands of friends and followers. And so they have to, in order to be credible, they say what they truly believe. And with that, they have a desire to be individuals. As I said, they want to create their own brand. That's something, it's sort of a phenomenon that social media has created, is that individuals are now becoming their own brand name. And in order to build that brand, they need to build relationships. They can promote these brands that are sort of trend-setting. And by trend-setting, they create their individual brand and they make their friends try and follow what they do. Most importantly, Generation Y spends about an average of $125 a month on recreational activities. As we said, they're very financially savvy because of recent crises and recessions. And they know how much they want to spend and the value they expect to receive from spending that. And so we'll finish up real quick with your SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as they pertain to Generation Y. Tailgating, free parking, and the fact that you can bring a cooler into the venue. You're probably one of the only venues in the country, and certainly the only one I know of in Texas, that allows this. The only problem is that Generation Y doesn't know this. They haven't discovered that when they buy a ticket, they're also buying free tailgating, free parking, and the ability to bring their own beer and other things they need into the stadium. And that's where that financial savviness is going to really create value for them. Weaknesses, you address this, is your lack of diverse fan base. That's why you want to go after Generation Y. You want to expand that fan base and fill those seats. Additionally, ineffective promotional booths. Promotional booths is something that you've used before. And we're going to touch on that a little bit and how we can improve upon that. Opportunities, as we said, you have an ability to serve these additional customer groups, and we're going to do that. We're going to do it through social media, and how we're going to use social media is to create awareness and educate those in Generation Y. Finally, your threats, some of which you can control to an extent, but some of which you can't. Your perceptual barrier, as you said, it is perceived as a somewhat redneck venue. But through social media and educating Generation Y on the amenities and features that Texas Motor Speedway has, you can begin to shape how Texas Motor Speedway is perceived. And so with that, we will jump into our strategy for making your promotional booths a little bit more effective.
Now, the great thing about you guys jumping into the Generation Y market, NASCAR is already taking this initiative. I see during our studies that NASCAR is trying to get into education or curriculum. They now have 6 Generation Y NASCAR drivers, and I believe Brad Keselowski was the first Generation Y race car winner to win a race. And so NASCAR has already taken on the initiative to attack Generation Y, which is going to help your market here in Texas. The only thing that won't help is it's not conditioned for Generation Y here in Texas, which is where you guys come in. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be tweaking an initiative that you guys are already taking on. For instance, your promotional booths at the State Fair, or this year the Texas Air Show. The great thing about that is it gives you're down there in the trenches with all these potential customers. There's tons of people there. You have the potential to reach a lot of customers at once. The bad thing is you're one booth in a row of 100, and so it's hard to distinguish yourself, and it's hard for all those people to be very interested in every single booth they walk by. And that's the angle that we're going to go with. We're going to attack a 3-phase program into getting them to your booth and making them interested in your booth. What we saw at the air show, myself and through surveys that we've taken and heard, there's really no distinguishing characteristics that was in TMS's booth that was in others. Now there was the car, the NASCAR, but it was just nothing really there to just grab the customer, just really want them to say, you know what, in this long line of booths, I want to go to that. Another thing that we saw were the representatives that were at the booth. Some of them were texting on their phones, some of them really weren't. There were no charismatic people. They were jumping out at the public, grabbing those potential paying customers. And the third thing, there was just really no wow effect. Again, just to turn that head and get them to say, I want to go to that booth. And of course, there's a lack of customer education. They don't know when they walk by your booth, that when they come into your booth and they end up buying a ticket, they don't know that they have an entire weekend of activities, that they have all those products that nobody else offers, that they have access to the Wild Asphalt Circus, which is just an array of products that nobody else offers with the purchase of one ticket, like Texas Motor Speedway offers. They don't know that. And so the great thing is you guys are already offering products that we like, we just don't know about it. And so that's what we're attacking. What we have right here is a Google Earth image of Frog Alley during a Texas football game, or a TCU football game. The red line is Frog Alley. What we've highlighted, that booth, that square in the middle, is where we would ask you to put your booth. And this is just an example. This is a model that you can apply to any college campus, anywhere. You can use this at the State Fair, and you'll see that as I go through it. So your booth is going to be right there in the middle in the blue square. The blue X is on either side, or we're going to station representatives before they get to your booth. So number one, it's a 3-phase. We want to make the customer aware that Texas Motor Speedway's booth is they're about to walk up on it. We want to make them aware of your booth before they even get there. And so what we're going to do is these guys are going to be passing out earplugs, saying, hey guys, you're going to need these when you get to the Texas Motor Speedway booth. Why the heck am I going to need earplugs? You've got them curious. As they walk up to your booth, this is what they want to see. I wanted a louder volume. But what we're trying to capture there is when you buy something for the first time, what do you need to do with it? You need to touch it. You need to taste it. You need to feel it. You need to activate those senses. And when you activate all those senses, you create value for that product and that customer before they ever even make it to Texas Motor Speedway. And by getting in a car, that's a simulator. By getting in that simulator, they're going to get the feel of that car. You can hook up some subwoofers, maybe get some air fans in there, just get them to feel that sheer force of how it is in that car. But just by activating all those senses, you can tweak it however you want. But it creates value in that customer. Right there, like that. It creates value for that customer before they ever make it there. And once you create value, you gain that customer trust, and then at that point, you've earned their trust to kind of reel them in and say, hey, let me talk to you about Texas Motor Speedway. Did you know we offer this? Did you know we offer that? An array of products. And that is when you have the opportunity to attack those customers. Now, what we've done is we've come up with a cost analysis. The upfront cost for that simulator is $20,000. And the reason we just tweaked a product that you guys were already involved in is we know that you guys are spending a lot of money on other initiatives right now. So we wanted to just maybe tweak a product you guys have already paid for. This is a one-time cost. You buy that product, it's yours, and you can then apply it to other schools and functions. What we've done is we've taken the numbers that would be of students that would be at 3 campuses: TCU, UNT, and SMU in Dallas. There's roughly 90,000 students at those games, and that's a very conservative number. There's 9,000 students here at TCU, but there's an average of 75,000 people at a football game. So that is a very conservative number. If we take 10% of those customers and at a 1% conversion rate, that would equal 900 ticket sales just over 3 events. If you were to take those 90,000 students at those 3 events you attended, just take a very conservative conversion number of 1%, that would total 900 tickets and pay for that one-time cost of the simulator that we're proposing. That way you don't have a continuing cost on top of all the other costs that you guys are already taking on right now. And the profit, if you sold 900 tickets, the average amount spent, 113, that's how much one Generation Y customer would spend, including the ticket and concessions. The revenue would be $101,700, and approximately your profit would be $75,000, just for 3 events. And if it was this successful, again, you can apply this model to any school. So, again, just to kind of recap, we've conducted a 3-phase process for your current booth strategy, and tweaked a little bit. We want to attack the customer before they ever get to your booth. Once they get to your booth, we want to draw them in with that simulator. And again, once they leave, we activate all their senses and get them interested in TMS's product, we're going to leave them wanting to know just a little bit more about TMS. And then one more little bit of information. One good thing your representatives can do before they're at the booths, instead of, I know that they have to Facebook so many tweets and so many posts throughout the day, there's something called Hootsuite. It's a site where you can link all of your social media programs into one thing, and you can schedule those posts before the event even occurs so they can have more time with their customer. And speaking of social media,
we honed in on social media because our targeted goal is to hit 50,000 sold tickets. In order to do that, we use the rule of thumb of 1%. That means that we need to reach 5 million people. And we know that social media is the medium to be able to reach 5 million people in the Metroplex to meet that goal. Additionally, we wanted to add some objectives to what you already mentioned before, is that we wanted this to be sustainable. We wanted this to be not just for a one-time event, but something that you can use year after year. We wanted it to be measurable so that we can build a historical database so that we can track trends and be able to give you forecast analysis of different changes in the markets. And the dynamic pieces of our social media campaign is that it is flexible and it is scalable. Flexible means that ad hoc, or as our reports tell us, we can adjust to whether we're going after Gen Y or whether we're going after Generation X, the tween market, or just the female market. We can expand anywhere from reaching 1 million people to 500 people or to 8 million people. And when we were searching on the internet, what is the first thing you do when you don't know something? What do? Anybody? You Google it, and that's exactly what we did. We Googled NASCAR, and we found a lot of interesting information. One, it is the #8 most watched televised sport in the U.S. The Texas Motor Speedway race is the #7 most watched race out of NASCAR. And with this great popularity, when we got down to looking at Texas Motor Speedway, we almost found no information. We searched under things like things to do, events for the weekend, and we didn't really find anything. We did find it through the Chamber of Commerce in Dallas and Fort Worth, but most people don't go to the Chamber of Commerce when they're looking for something to do. So with that lack of presence out there in the internet, we can focus on identifying Texas Motor Speedway. When you pull up looking for things to do, Texas Motor Speedway is going to pop up. There was also an unknown brand, an unknown mission statement. We saw that this was a problem in that people were actually defining Texas Motor Speedway as Texas Motor Speedway was not defining itself. And this let us know that actually Texas Motor Speedway was, or is, the best kept secret in the Metroplex, and we're going to change that. We're going to start with I Am NASCAR. Inside of 7 days, we hit 630 likes. Our goal was to target 500 in 3 weeks, and we hit 630 in 7 days. Now, our conversion rate on that was 7 out of 10, and it was a one-click conversion, which means that behind the scenes, we have an ad campaign running. They got to this page and clicked like. So 7 out of 10 people liked our page. So we've actually reached 1,000 people and made them aware. And with the 4 additional campaigns that we are going to run with our Facebook campaign, one is the fan favorite. We're going to ask fans to send us videos of their experience out at Texas Motor Speedway. Then we're going to ask them to ask their friends to vote on the videos. When we do this, we increase our numbers exponentially. When we have exponentially, the second thing that we'll have on there is a product video. We want to advertise and brag about all of the events at Texas Motor Speedway, all of the products that you can enjoy when you're out at Texas Motor Speedway. And when we mention measurable, this is one of the examples of being able to get reports that we can build historical data on and to switch that back and forth. So our proof of concept wanted to be able to just explain to you, to demonstrate to you that we are able to reach our targeted market. And when we test our campaign, we did target and reach 8 million people. But it was 8 million people from Canada all the way to Mexico. It was also an interesting fact that, wow, it might be interesting to put a track near Texas, near the border of Texas because of the demand that we saw from the Latino market. We know that NASCAR is targeting a diverse market, including Latinos, tweens, Generation Y, and we want to be able to do the same thing for Texas Motor Speedway, is just mimicking what NASCAR is doing.
As Kimberly said, there are 4 more campaigns that we can roll out in this social media campaign, and this is sort of how we're going to go with implementing it. We want to start with just booths at 3 campuses and just one social media campaign, the fan favorite. But as success grows, we'll continue to grow our presence with your customers and really get Gen Y on board and make them trust Texas Motor Speedway. The Tell Us What You Think campaign can be really effective. It gives customers or potential customers an opportunity to say, I really enjoyed this aspect of the race, or the food was really good, or even negative comments. For whatever reason, the bathroom was disgusting when I went. And it gives you an opportunity to build on the positives and also rectify the negatives however you see fit. Product promotion, Kimberly touched on that a little bit, making Gen Y aware of those products that come with a ticket, like tailgating, free parking, that they don't know about. Did you know campaign, educating Generation Y with facts, just various posts about certain facts that they might not know about Texas Motor Speedway. And finally, the University Challenge. This is, we're going to encourage those in Generation Y in colleges to like the Texas Motor Speedway Facebook page, follow, comment, anything positive. And we're going to keep a record of who participates in this. And then the school with the most participation will win the challenge, and they'll be rewarded in some way. Maybe TCU wins, and so Texas Motor Speedway chooses to fly the TCU flag at the NRA 500, or even something as simple as thanking TCU for their continued support over the loudspeaker. And you're letting the customer know that you value their continued support and that you're willing to give back to them what they've given to you. And so with that, we'd like to thank you for your time. We appreciate the opportunity in making this marketing plan, and we'd like to take it